So when it's 1990 and my family's going on our first like real trip. See, my dad, when I was born, he was like half dabbling in law, was doing law work, but half dabbling as a politician. And then he had me, and he was still trying to, hopefully be a politician, but kind of paying the bills by doing law, but half-hearted doing both. And then when my brother was born, he made a deal with my mom. I'm gonna run for state senate, and if I lose, I'm putting all my eggs in the basket, and we'll actually have some money. And he lost by 2% to the Republican for state senate. And finally, after years, he worked his way, kind of caught up with the guys he left law school with. And in 1990, he got told he was a partner, and we were gonna go on our first trip. And I was like in 3rd grade, and this was exciting because we'd never gone like a real vacation before. And we were gonna go to St. John's Virgin Islands, and there's a campground there because we still had a lot of debt to pay off, so camping in the Caribbean, you can't complain about it, particularly for a kid. We didn't know about resorts or anything, so. So I remember that day we wake up and we're all excited, it's like spring break. And we have to get up, we have to flight out of JFK at 8 o'clock, and we get out of bed at 4:30, which is crazy because like when you're a kid you always want to stay up till midnight, but like anything before 6 doesn't even like register as an hour. And I remember like me and my brother and my dad jump right out of bed. And my brother is 2 years younger than me. He's in 1st grade. And like as a 3rd grader where I was, you're kind of that point where you start finally thinking of yourself kind of as an adult, like I'm more like them than like these little kids. But my brother was in 1st grade, and he was at the point where you're getting thoughtful and thinking about everything, like dinosaurs or black holes. So like I remember that morning as my dad's making breakfast and running around, my brother keeps asking like, so how does a plane that's metal stay up in the air? Like, do they crash? Like, what if their wheels don't come down? And my dad doesn't have time to answer all this, so he just keeps giving him more bowls of Honey Nut Cheerios. He's like, today's a special day, you get a 2nd bowl. Like, don't worry about how it goes over mountains, here's a 3rd bowl. I think he gets up to 8 bowls. Meanwhile, my mother finally gets out of bed around 5, collects my sister, and we're supposed to be in the car by 4:30. We're on the road by 5:15, and we're hitting rush hour the whole way to New York. When we get to the line to check in, it's already only an hour 15 before our planes to go off, and we look, and we were gonna fly Tower Air, which is a very forgettable 90s airline. It was only really known at the end of MTV shows. It would be like, all cast and crew is flown by Tower Air, which like, if there's ever a sign, like it's the flight that they're sending the real world on. It's like the lowest level of flying possible. So only other people taking it are frats and sororities that are going on spring break. And we're the only family, so we get in, and we're like, I don't know how we checked in at time, like, it was pre-9/11, but we were, if anyone had been like suspicious, that my sister would have started crying, it would have been awful, but we somehow got to the gate, and we're running to the gate, we're gonna miss our boarding, and right as they get there, they announce, this flight has been delayed 2 hours, we're very sorry, folks. We're like looking around and wonder why, and then a parade of army troops come by. It turns out they were using JFK to send home all the troops from Desert Storm. So like, as we're all like in disarray that we're going 2 hour delay, everyone's like, yeah, thank you. And we're like, okay, great. And as kids, my mom's gonna keep us entertained. About 15 minutes later, another plane, like, yeah, thank you. By like 2 hours, the frat guys are a little tired and drunk. I'm like, ah. You can tell like they're less supporting the troops and they're more wanting to get to the Caribbean. And finally, after 3.5 hours, they're like, all right, we're now going to begin boarding. We'll take small families first. And then the whole time, my brother has still been asking questions about this flight. My mom grabs us all and we're like, we're getting on this flight first. So small families, children, we go rush into the gate. And they go to, it's back when they still would give you a pin. So they go to pin my brother. We're about to be the first people boarded. And as they crouch down to give him a pin, he vomits all over the stewardess. And then my mom pulls him away, and it lands all over my little sister, who's like, 4 at the time. And now they have to shut the gate down because there's just vomit all over the doorway. And the stewardess is like, I need a new clothes to go to the Caribbean in. And now everyone's looking at us, all the drunk frat guys are like, you are ruining that. It was one thing for the troops, but now your family is screwing this up. So my dad turns to me and he goes, you have to stay here with the luggage. He takes my brother to go vomit in the toilet. My mom takes my sister and she looks at her, the luggage is all checked. So she comes up with the best idea. She just rips the clothes off her, she's naked in the bathroom, pulls my mom's sweater off of her, because she's got an extra layer, it's cold up here, and puts the sweater on her. Because she's a little kid, it's like hanging down to there. So my mom's like, you're gonna ride the plane in just an adult sweater. I'm waiting with the luggage, and finally they go like, first class comes, they cleaned up the gate, reopened things, stewardess has found a, extra set. And finally, the last boarding call, when they finally both come out of the bathroom, and like my dad turns to me like, I know you're only in third grade, but you gotta help us with the luggage. So I grab it and feel like, yeah, I'm an adult. And we get on the plane, and because the front guys, the seats that we had sitting together aren't there anymore, but we're already so late, they're like, just grab whatever seats you can. So my brother and my dad have to go to the back, and me and my sister and my mom sit in the front. And my mom's passes out. It's my job to make sure my sister doesn't flash anyone or and every time I turn back to see what my brother and my dad are doing, I just see my dad pop his head out and does anyone else have a throw-out bag we haven't used yet? And it's not looking good back there. We finally land in Puerto Rico because that's where we have a connection flight, but we're 3 hours late. Our connection flight's no, we don't have anything tomorrow, and all the hotels in the airport are backed up because of everyone else's delays. So we go airport, just gate to gate to find a flight to St. Thomas. And it's like Mary and Joseph, except instead of a pregnant woman, we have a girl in a muumuu, and a boy who's just covered in puke. And finally, we find a little thing, and they're we've got 5 seats. It's a very small plane. We're we'll take it. And we go running, and when we get there, it is a 16-seater. This is the type of plane that anyone vomits in. As we get in, they close my brother just even before taking off, vomits. And now you're stuck with the smell. So everyone starts vomiting. Except me, because I'm given a window seat, and I've been I'm looking out and I have a window seat, and it's about to be sunset, and you can see the blue Caribbean Ocean. I'm we're making it. So we get to the St. Thomas, and my dad turns to me, he's you're in charge of the luggage. So in third grade me is hauling half of it, my dad's got the other, my mom's got the other 2. We get a cab, we gotta get a ferry. So we get to the ferry dock in St. Thomas, and as the driver he slows down, and we're what's going on? And he's what the? And we're what? We gotta get the ferry. He kind of points, and we're what are you talking about? And he's that hut over there. And you can see there's 2 big ferry boats 200 feet out, and there's a lot of people milling around. And we're puzzled, and we go walking up to we're is this where we get the tickets? And the woman's yes. We're all right, we'd 5 tickets. She goes, I don't know if there'll be any ferry tonight. The dock just caved in. And we're what? And she goes, the boat, it hit the dock too hard and it just collapsed. And then you look out and you realize that all this luggage is out in sea, and there's a little cement coming up here and a pillar there. And we're what the? And they're yeah, nope, no boats. And then as people are milling around, and somehow no one was hurt when this dock just collapsed. Somebody comes running in with a rowboat. And if I worked at a job and the dock just collapsed, I'd be I'm done, we'll come back tomorrow and figure this out. But one of the workers I got a rowboat, we'll get this back up and going. So they proceed to put the rowboat in and shuttle 100 tourists, rowing them out to the ferries. And again, my mom's in charge of the sick kid and the girl in the muumuu. And I'm, with my dad in the luggage. And we, it's heavy luggage, but it's, there's a gap. It's not built for rowboat loading. So I'm having to pass up to my dad, and I feel really adult. And we take off to St. John's right as the sun's setting, and you see the beautiful Caribbean Ocean. And I remember my brother and sister passed out because they'd been up forever. And we finally get there, and because my mom's got to rouse them, we're the last people off the ferry, and all the cabs are gone. All the cabs are gone. And my dad is just looking ugh, and we've got all the luggage. And I see a cab way down the block, and people are getting in, but they're a big SUV cab. So I go running, I can get this. And I see 2 people in it. I'm can we share the cab with you? We're going to the campground. And they're yeah, fine. So it pulls up, and my dad and me load in, we all climb in. And as we finally settle down and take off the road, my dad looks up. It's this couple that had come from dinner. It's the guy that my dad lost the campaign to, is sitting across from us. And he's hello, and he's hi. And they have small talk that you would if you just lost your dream job in a public forum to somebody. And then we pull in at the Rockefeller-built estate. There was $1,000 a night to stay in. And he passes by my sister in the muumuu, my brother covered in vomit. He's enjoy your vacation, Mr. Bates. So we pull into the campground, and my mom, we pound on doors, finally rouse people. They give us our tent number. My mom takes the kids off, and it's my dad and my job to carry all the luggage up the hill. We do it. We have to come back to find bedding. We have to wake up people. And as we're getting the last of it, we're holding the pillows, I kind of look up, and for the first time I kind of see my dad. It's, that moment when you realize, he's not just the strong dad man, there's a person behind there. You can tell he's kind of broken from the day, his dream vacation he had finally got. And as we pick up the pillows, he looks at me and goes, man, today, thank you, kiddo. You really stepped up. Thanks. Thank you.